Right, good afternoon. I hope this afternoon's going through quite fast for you. Big heavy lunch, lots of warm auditorium action this afternoon. But so we're going to liven things up a little bit now. And I'm going to introduce you to our presenter in a moment. My name's Anthony Humphries. I'm one of the key account managers with Adestra. And one of the things we've heard a lot about today is about sort of the creative side of email is great. It's nice to put pretty pictures and nice words, but actually getting that email to the right person, getting that person to open that email and engage and go through and actually do whatever that email is intended to do, whether it's to download a white paper, drive revenue, that is the ultimate goal of your email. So I'm going to introduce you to Elisabeth Forseth from MyOptique Group, who's going to talk through how MyOptique Group have taken the idea of optimisation and growing their email through that. Thanks, Elisabeth.
Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry, there will be time for questions at the end, but you are welcome to ask questions as we go.
Yes, actually, please feel free to ask questions as we go. I'm going to be very bored of my own voice if I just monologue for half an hour. Right, so optimization. So what we did at MyOptique Group, we had about a year ago, we set up a challenge for ourselves to try to optimize our emails and generate more traffic, response, and revenue from our email marketing channel. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to try to tell you a little bit about what we did and what methodology we used and how we approached it as a team, and some examples and screenshots of how we went. So a little bit about me. I've been with MyOptique Group for about a year and a half. Before that, I spent a couple of years freelancing and consulting for some brands you might have heard of, like Trainline.com or The Outnet or Time Inc., Volvo, probably heard of. And before that, I spent 5 years as CRM manager for Vistaprint, this American e-commerce company as well. But now I spent a year and a half at MyOptique Group. And you probably haven't heard of MyOptique Group. It's not a household name, it's just the name of our employer. But what we do have is quite a few consumer-facing websites that you might have heard of, one or two of them. We're an e-commerce retail business. We sell eyewear, so glasses, sunglasses, contact lenses, on a range of different sites. Glasses Direct, maybe someone has heard about, seen us on TV, some people nodding. Sunglasses Shop, eyewear brand, Boots Designer Sunglasses, Lens On, Lens Best, and Netsoptiker. The first four ones, Glass Direct, Sunglasses Shop, eyewear brand, and Boots Designer Sunglasses, we are managing out of the UK office. We've served several million customers and sold millions of glasses and sunglasses over the years at this point. They all started as independent businesses who have, between mergers and acquisitions and coming together over the years, become one company called MyOptique Group. So the objective that I had when I joined, and what we had about a year ago, one, they were all on different systems. They were on different ESPs, they were on different backend systems, data, teams, separate locations. So what we did was we grouped everything into one big CRM team and into one ESP. We chose Adestra, which you could probably realize because I'm here today. We also started looking at data solutions to make sure we have better data in message focus. So, you know, the email address is the main one, but obviously we get demographic data, you get transactional data, you can browsing data, any kind of data sources that you want in your message focus platform to try to do more relevant emails. Another objective was to build and test the automated journeys, which is on the back of the data that we implemented. But then the big one, the one I want to talk about today, is we had as a goal to develop an optimization strategy for our what we call BAU emails, so business as usual. We call that the ones that are batch and blast one, the Monday sale, the Thursday weekend sale, or whatever it might be. So the big kind of, they go to full base once or a couple times a week. And as much as the journeys and the automation and the personalization, the things that the other base camps are talking about are absolutely key for optimization as well, that's being covered in other base camps. So what I'm going to talk about today is just what did we do for those actual BAU emails and how do we generate more revenue out of those emails. The approach we took, I'll go through this quite quickly, so I'll jump into what it looks like in real life. But we had, obviously with everything on different systems, we started with just aligning KPI definitions, which sounds very basic, but just making sure that if you say open rate, are you looking at the cents or are you comparing to what's been delivered? Are you looking at uniques or are you looking at multi? Just making sure that everyone in the team and across the business was looking at the same KPIs in the same way, so that it becomes comparable over time and between brands. Plot that on a trend line. Don't just look at my Monday campaign did this. Actually look at May versus June versus July. Plot trend lines because you start seeing what's going up and what's going down. Removing your outliers. Identify risks and opportunities. I'll get back to that in 1 second. We also looked a lot of finding common denominators in top and bottom performers. So we actually sat as a team and we looked at all the emails ranked by open rate and look at the top 10. What do they have in common? We sat as a team and discussed, what are we looking, actually quite a few of them might have this feature or this, this element to it. Well, let's try to do that again, do more of it. It seems to be working. But whenever you do these kind of looking at the top performers and trying to find what works really well, always look at your bottom performers as well. So we spend just as much time looking at the bottom 10. What do they have in common? What seems to be the common denominator of things that just aren't performing? Because that will tell you what not to do or what not to do as often. Design your test, if it's an A/B test or ABCD test or approach. You don't have to test everything. Sometimes it just makes sense and you just roll it out. Agree on a success criteria. So what are you trying to test? Or what are you trying to improve? Make sure that you're not, we try to make sure that we don't just say, I'm going to make more money. This is too vague. You need to understand, is it open rate? What is my success criteria of this test? Quite often we would have secondary KPI goals or benchmarks, like for example, if you do a subject line A/B test and your success criteria is open rate, you probably want to make sure that it's only a win assuming click-through rate doesn't drop below a certain percentage point or your unsubscription rate doesn't go above a certain percentage point. Because if all I want to do is get a high open rate, I'll put free Ray-Bans and free Viagra, whatever companies do, and you get a great open rate, but it's not going to actually drive a successful campaign. So make sure you have your secondary goals as well. And then once you've plotted that and say, this is what I'm going to look at for this brand, what's trending down, is this KPI, these are the things we're going to do about it, and I'm going to do that into my July and August plan, and you incorporate it into your weekly calendar, and you take kind of one step at a time. So we use this quite analytical, kind of systematic methodology, I would say, where we try to break out what are those risks and opportunities by KPI rather than by brand. The tricky part comes in, how do you know where to start? Because it's quite hard to just say, let's make more email, let's make more money out of email. So the way we did it when we said, how do we know where to start, is that we created this funnel of email KPIs. These are ours. These work very well for our business, for an e-commerce retailer. It might not work for everyone else, but what this is saying is basically, what are the levers behind a successful campaign? Or how do you know to measure return on investment on an email campaign? It's a kind of a funnel, because it starts with how many people do you send it to. The more you send it to, the better it will do. And then you go down, how many of those people opened? And the people who opened, how many of those actually clicked? And the people who clicked and obviously went to your website, how many of them actually placed an order, your conversion rate? And of the people who placed an order, how much did they actually spend, your average order basket? You do basically send counts times open rate, times click-through rate, times conversion rate, times average order value, and you end up with revenue. You get that is the revenue generated from this email. It's only last click attribution. If anyone looks a little bit about how do I know what's actually driving if I don't click on the email to generate my session, but I come in later in the day, I know that this doesn't take into account for that. That's a whole analytical attribution discussion. But in terms of optimization, all you really need is to always measure the same way. So if you're always measuring this way, today, tomorrow, by brand, by country, by month, at least it's always equally under or overrepresented. So it still becomes a benchmark between if this one is better than that one, because you're measuring them the same way. What we then do, because if one campaign drives £1,000, another one drives £1,100, you're like, oh, this one's better. Could be, but it could also be just that your base was a little bit bigger because it was a month later and it grew, so actually went to more people. So in order to just make everything comparable, we take revenue and we just divide it by how many emails you sent, your actual send count. So you get email by send count. That becomes your return on investment for the email. And with British pound sterling, that always ends up being 0.00 something, which is really annoying to say. So we tend to say revenue per 1,000 emails sent. You just multiply by 1,000. That just ends up, we can then buy this week, sunglasses shop had an RPK of £41, but last week it was 54. What happened here? Or, you know, this brand has a much higher RPK than this one, and we get that comparable view, an easy return on investment metric that we can then present to the business and use ourselves. Does that make sense? Yeah? If you're not a retail e-commerce company, this might not be your KPIs. You might say, actually, by the time I hit the website, my goal is to get them to download a white paper. Well, then make that your conversion rate. Maybe make it send counts times open rates times click-through rate times downloads, and you get to downloads per email or per 1,000 email, depending on your number. So make it work for you. It's just this is the approach that we took. What we then did is that as a team, we had brainstorms around each one of these, and we sat and actually discussed what are the tools or the levers or the drivers that will drive your send count, that will increase your send count. What are the tools or the things that you can play with to increase your open rate? And we came up with a list of things for each one of those KPIs so that it would make it easier for whoever was managing sunglasses shop. If they see that open rate was declining, we can actually go in and say, for next month, I'm going to try to improve open rate. That is going to be my goal. And I'm going to do this by testing these things on this list. And that way it makes it slightly easier then to see if you can turn that trend around rather than trying to test everything at once, because then you don't know what drove which performance. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go through each one of these and see what we decided, what we came up with were the tools you can test and how that went, basically. So the first one is send count, which, as in your list size, your audience size. The drivers to try to optimize your send count, well, acquisition marketing is obviously the big one. I'm not going to go into what that looks like here. That's a whole different, that's performance marketing. That's not really email at all. So that's for a very different conference. But acquisition marketing, to do more of it, of course, will drive. But from a CRM point of view, you have sign-up incentive. So what we've seen have worked really well for us has been sign up for email, and we will give you X% off or X pounds off your first order. So we've seen great success with that. Very, very basic, but it actually really works to drive an increased send count. Excuse me. After you sign up, do an onboarding journey to make sure you follow up the steps so that you take them by the hand and tell them what's going to happen next to try to get that conversion done. Your opt-in mechanics, are you doing the tick box? Are you doing the pre-tick tick box? Are you sending the validation email to validate once they've signed up? Different approach works differently for different people, but it's definitely something that will impact how many people sign up for your emails. Deliverability, obvious one of it, hopefully will always stay stable. It's always at 99.9%, so you don't have to worry about it, but it's something to keep in mind. But it's not just about people signing up, it's also about not plugging that funnel at the other end and making sure that you don't lose people so that your list continues to grow as you add more people and don't lose more. By being relevant to make sure people don't unsubscribe. That's what we do all day. But also things like a preference center. So right now what we did was that when you unsubscribe, you go to a page that said, we're sorry to see you go. If you want, we could send you fewer emails or a different topic. And then a lot of people will say, okay, well that's fine. Just send me one per month. And that way we still get to keep them as an emailable customer. We can still talk to them. They're just not getting every email. So that has turned out really well for us because it's actually made our unsubscription rates go down. And you can also then ask them as an exit survey, ask them why are you leaving us, to try to get some insight into why are people actually unsubscribing. I wouldn't recommend putting, you have to enter your email in order to unsubscribe. Like, don't put blockers and barriers. Make it really easy for them to unsubscribe, because is that what they really want to do? That's what they're going to do regardless. It's just a question if they're going to mark you as spam in the process because they think you're really annoying. So make it easy, but take the opportunity to ask, would you like us to send you fewer or on a different topic? Here's an example from Glasses Direct. So we had this banner that we implemented on our website where you can see you sign up now and you get 2 pairs of glasses for £19. And as you enter your email, you basically get my offer, and then this turns into thank you for subscribing, and it turns into and here's your promo code. This has worked amazingly well, and when you do, you are triggering this welcome conversion onboarding program. So the first one says welcome, and here's your promo code, the 2 for 19 that you signed up for. Lots of Trustpilot. Building trust is key because they're still a prospect. Second one, a few days later, will be don't forget your offer. You know, there's a friendly reminder. We also have this thing at Glasses Direct where you can trial your glasses for free. So you can order 4 pairs and we send to your house. You try them on, you send them back, and it's completely free. And you can do that over and over again. And not everyone knows about it, so we kind of try to tell you about it. If you haven't bought yet, you know you can do home trial. And then a few days later, you will say your code is about to expire. A little bit of urgency there. So we will try to nudge to get people to actually make that conversion. If they do buy somewhere early in the journey, we stop this conversion journey and put you on, now you're a buyer, so now you're on a different journey. We've implemented this for all of our brands. Glasses Direct has had quite a nice uptick in our send count. It's quite a larger brand, a larger base, so the growth is slower, but it's really nice to see such a stable uplift. Our brand's the same thing, smaller base, younger brand, but also on a steadily upwards trend in how many people we're sending to. Sunglasses Shop looks a bit weird here, but it's actually year on year doing pretty well. It's just the fact that it's a very seasonal brand because we don't really send many sunglasses in winter. So it does go up and down. It needs to go up and down, still on an exponentially upwards curve. Yeah, is everyone with me so far? Awesome. Okay, so open rate, next one. So for the brands that we said we need to improve open rate, what are the tools in that toolbox that we brainstormed? Deliverability, I mean, always check your deliverability. Hopefully it's all fine, but if you're open, check by ISP. If your open rate for a specific, like for Hotmail, is really bad, that probably means they're sending you to spam and you can do something about it. So check your open rate by ISP. Send from name. So rather than sending from Glasses Direct, you could send from Glasses Direct Christmas special or whatever topic that might be relevant to your brand. You can do little symbols. From a previous job I had, we send little stars on each side of the company name, and that worked really well. It just spiked open rates like crazy. I wouldn't recommend to do it all the time because it gets a bit spammy, but you can use these things every now and then when you have something special to say. Subject line, obviously, that's the one we all know about. Pre-header, the stuff that goes under the subject line that you see, especially on mobile. It used to be a nice to have, the pre-header. It's really a must-have now. Everyone is on mobile and everyone sees that line of code or line of text that goes under your subject line. So if you are not adding a specific pre-header, all the people will see on mobile is the HTML code of the top of your email, or the click here to view in browser, which is a completely waste of space actually. So use your pre-headers as a secondary subject line because most people will see them. This little extra bit at the very end. Day of week, time of day. Again, lots of testing can be done around the timing of your emails. When are you going to send them? I wouldn't stare myself blindly at just one. I mean, you might have great open rate if you send at 7 a.m. in the morning, but that doesn't necessarily mean that whoever's browsing on the train going to work is actually going to purchase and buy on the train going to work. So it doesn't have to be a big open rate. It's the best conversion rate, but it could be an indicator to get top of mind so that they then, when the weekend comes around, they have time to browse a little bit. So look at it in a bigger perspective, but definitely test time of day and day of week. Symbols and emojis, we all feel usually quite either strongly against or strongly in favor. I found that they work as long as they're done kind of tastefully and in moderation and when they're relevant. Tastefully is again subjective, but I just don't every day. But I do think that they work because they make your subject line, your email stand out in the inbox. Length, we all know that. So I think probably research will tell you that the shorter the subject line, the better the open rate. I kind of think I want to challenge that a little bit because I don't actually think that's always true. It's definitely true if you do a really long subject line, then no one really sees it because it gets cut. But sometimes a really short one just leaves a lot of space for the HTML code to be shown, or it doesn't render well. The one thing I will say is if you have a really long one, make sure that the first bit of the subject line is the catching part. So that's the one that doesn't get cut, so that if people get curious to see what else you have to say. And personalization, again, I think it works really well. I don't think it makes any sense if a brand sends me, "Hi Elisabeth," every single day. And I thought, I don't know you, why are you talking to me like you know me? But I do think it works every now and then because just testing has shown that it does. And then we had quite a few workshops and brainstorms and trainings as a team, and we looked at a lot of research from what's called direct response. And the kind of science and the art of direct response is basically a psychology, a basic human psychology, or like a neuroscience field, where there's loads of research out there that actually measures what people are likely to respond to directly. So if I do brand marketing and I do a TV ad for a shampoo, and then 2 weeks later you're in Sainsbury's and you see the shampoo, and hopefully subconsciously you remember my TV ad and you pick up my shampoo, that's an indirect response. An email CTA that says buy, click here, that's a direct response. That is something I can change to get you to respond directly. And there are a bunch of different things that actually makes people respond directly to a higher extent. And there's loads of research around. So we spent a lot of time on this as a team to try to incorporate that into our email programs. The first one I think is pretty obvious, is urgency. That tends to get people to respond, click, buy, hurry up, ends tonight, 48 hours only, whatever it might be. Scarcity, which is for the first 500 only, while stocks last, which is kind of the same as urgency, but it's just selling it from a different point of view. Curiosity, so questions, for example, in your subject line that we need to have a good answer in the email, but that curiosity about what's going on. Exclusivity, so everyone loves feeling exclusive. This campaign is for you only, for email subscribers only. Private sale, for loyal customers only. Everyone loves that exclusive preview, 24 hours before anyone else gets it. People love feeling that exclusivity. Savings, discounts, savings. People like to get a good deal, which ties into kind of FOMO, which is basically fear of missing out, which is a very hipster word, but it really holds true. This whole fear of missing out does actually make people respond, because they want to make sure that they get this good deal might not come back, even if we actually might send it again next week, and they probably know we're probably going to send it again next week. They still feel like, what if I miss out? What if it doesn't come back? And the last one is status, which is basically when people, from like a psychological point of view, we humans actually want to feel, not everyone, but majority, wants to feel part of a group. We want to feel validated that what we're buying is the same as other people would have bought, and that reinforces my status as an individual. So things like the current bestsellers, what other people bought, what you bought, basically all that stuff that reaffirms what is trending right now, so that you think, what's trending right now must be really good because a lot of other people are buying it, which means it must be something that I want to get to. So these are just things that you can incorporate, and we incorporate it into our emails and our subject lines to try to drive that direct response. Does that make sense? Yeah? Awesome. I put a few examples on here just to show what that could look like. This is all sunglasses shop. Time's almost up, Elisabeth, as symbol. You got personalization, obviously urgency. There's a discount. Subscriber exclusive. You got exclusivity. Think quick, 48 hours only. You got urgency again. New shades just landed. That's curiosity. People want to see what are the new collection that just came in. Did your favorite make the cut? Question mark. There you go, curiosity. And people want to see if what I bought actually made the cut into this year's bestsellers. UK exclusive, introducing Kendall and Kylie sunglasses. If anyone is a Kardashian fan, they now have a range of sunglasses. Again, whether you like the Kardashians or not, people like the whole exclusivity around having access to the sale. So these are some examples of what we did for sunglasses shop, and we didn't A/B test a whole lot because a lot of them we just tried to incorporate these elements into our subject lines, and it worked pretty well. So the blue line is 2016 and the red line is 2017 from Q1 to Q3. We actually had a 28% uplift on open rate year on year, so I think we actually proved that introducing these elements in our subject line actually worked really, really well. Moving on to the next one, which is click-through rate, what are the drivers to drive click-through rate? If you want to increase your click-through rate, we said, what tools do we have? Well, layout. Your layout of your email is the obvious one. The email editor will build you different modules. If you're doing it yourself, you can have different layout, no matter how you 2-column, 1-column width, whatever it might be. Images and modules, models and faces. This one is another one. There's heavy research on this. If you use a face, you're always going to have more clicks than if you use an object. It's because people tend, especially if that face is looking out of the email and looking right at you. For some reason, people then end up clicking right here. And they do it subconsciously. So anyone you have a face, especially if they're looking out of the picture, it's going to drive more clicks than an object, assuming it's relevant. The only exception for the model looking out of the picture is if the model or the face is looking at some sort of USP, some sort of unique selling point that you have in your email. So if for her, for example, if she had been looking at the free delivery, which is the USP of this email, what happens is that your eyes follow her eyes, and then you end up looking where she's looking, and you actually get more people looking and clicking on and noticing the USP rather than her herself. So these are kind of the stuff around direct response research that we've been trying to implement. Text-to-image ratio, I think is pretty straightforward. Responsive design, mobile first, everything is mobile now. Call to actions, make sure you have your CTAs, like them or not, they do work. If you don't have that prompt to act, you actually get fewer clicks. It actually does work. And again, all that stuff I said about with subject lines, with the basic human direct response drivers, the urgency and the FOMO and everything, obviously this holds true for the layout of the email as well. So the same basic principles here. Limited time only, which is the urgency. Editor's pick, you want to see someone who's an editor who obviously knows a lot of fashionable sunglasses trends. I want to see what that person has picked for me because I trust their curated selection. So all those things incorporated into the actual layout of the email as well, not just the subject line. This is a test we did, an A/B test. These are the two emails, and we tested the how much information was under each product. This is a bit bigger if you can't see it. Basically, the frame name and the details and the price and CTA versus just having Ray-Ban, just having the brand name. Now, the success criteria we decided was click-through rate. We were trying to boost click-through rate by doing it this way, but our secondary KPI threshold or benchmark, as I said before, was to make sure that you still get a higher return on investment, still get more money from the email. And what happened was, while click-through rate came up 34%, so it was actually a much, much bigger click-through rate on this email than this one. I brought this up because it's a good example. We could have walked away and said, yay, we won, winner, rollout. I wouldn't actually call this a winner, because even though click-through rate came up, what happened was you're actually getting a lot of people clicking through to see the price. And that might actually be a slightly, not a negative experience, but you get slightly lower quality traffic because you're not getting the people with intent to buy. You're getting a lot of curiosity clicks, which actually made our conversion rate drop so much that the overall, by the end of the funnel, our RPK, our revenue per 1,000 cents, actually came down 18%. So even though our success criteria might show this as a winner, this test would show that this is not a winner, and let's try something else. So and then we're down to conversion rate, which kind of takes you off the email a little bit, and this is an email presentation, but think about the continuous experience from the email onto the website, which is really key as well. You can't just design the email and then drop people on a, well, can't. You can. We do it a lot, to be honest, but we try to not always just drop them on a homepage or drop them on a product page and walk away. You try to do things like landing pages, or to make sure that it's very easy to find the offer in the email that you can find on the site. If there's a promo code in the email, make sure it's very easy to enter on the site. Make it clickable so you can Control-C. Don't put it just in an image. Very clear terms and conditions. Make it very easy to make the conversion happen as well from the email. So think about that joined up experience from the email onto the website. And obviously the website design, which is probably another team, but it needs to be very optimized for user experience. And obviously responsive. I would absolutely recommend that you have lots of information on your website, product information, whatever it might be, but don't put that information as a blocker to checkout. Make sure that there is a very fast path to checkout, and then it's easy to find all that additional information in case someone wants it. So if a customer is with the intent, I'm going to browse around and look at loads of different frames, they can do that very easily. But if someone wants to just buy very quickly, it needs to be easy. This is just a quick example. This is sunglasses shop, round frame edit. This is the Ray-Ban that is just here. So one click, shop now. You go to the product page. One click, buy now. That's click number 2. You go to the basket. One click to checkout. And you get 3 clicks from email to checkout. And there is loads of other things to see on the site and to read up and to learn trends, but it's not in the way of the actual conversion funnel. So we spent quite a bit of time on this as well to try to make sure that the conversion rate of the back of the email is optimized as well, because it is part of the email optimization experience. So this is sunglasses shop. So this is again 2016, 2017, and we've actually had an 82% lift year on year, which is really, really fun, really great to see. Again, this is last click attribution, so the conversion rate of the back of an email, not our overall website conversion. I wish we had 82% conversion rate increase for the overall one. But from an email point of view, this is still a really good one. So I think we're really pleased with how that's gone. Okay, last one, average order value. So what drivers did we identify for average order value? There's two metrics that make up your average order value. Items per basket, so how many products are you selling? And average item value, what's the price? How much are they spending on those items? For items per basket, you want to do things like upsell, cross-sell. Second pair, for us, obviously, your second frame can be X off, or 2 for 1, or promoting accessories, all that stuff to make people buy more than just one item. Or the item value, so maybe in the email, we try to maybe showcase more expensive frames. If every single frame in an email is going to be £50, then your average order value might be £50, because people tend to take what they get. But then if you send every single frame cost £100, you probably get the higher average order value. Now you can't just take that all the way up, because you're going to lose conversion rate because it gets too expensive. So you need to find that balance of more expensive products being showcased in the email to try to boost that AOV. Shipping threshold, so if you spend X, you get free shipping. Try to put the X just over your normal AOV, so it's not too much of a stretch, just a little bit of a £5 extra, that's fine. I'll just put something else in my basket and I get free shipping. And for anyone who's here who's retail and e-commerce, discounts, obviously. So discounts are huge. You get percentage off, you get pounds off, you can have the more you spend, the more you save, like tiered offers, countdown offers, all those kind of different discounts that we continuously test and try to boost and have a higher ABV. A couple of examples of what we've done. So this is Ira Brands. You get 40% off your second pair, which is obviously a nice one, because if people pick up a second pair, even at 40% off, that really boosts AOV. Glasses Direct has this optional lens upsell. If you don't want the free basic lens, you can try to, the anti-UV, anti-reflection, upsell on the lens package. Another example is 25% off if you spend £125, so try to put that hurdle in order to get the discount. I would recommend testing the hurdles, because it's sometimes quite hard to pinpoint the exact magic spot where people are, okay, I think that's worth it, so test different hurdles. This was a test we did, and I was actually quite surprised with the results here, because we tested, as you can see, 20 versus 25% off a certain selection on Glasses Direct. Now, I thought that by increasing our discount, we would drop in average order value, because people spend less, there's a higher discount, but we will get enough of an uplift in conversion rate that our overall RPK is still going to be positive. But what happened was that not only did the overall conversion rate go up, our average order value came up as well when we discounted more heavily. And it turns out that as we gave a slightly higher discount, people picked up more expensive frames and added more upsell and lenses and stuff. So it actually just ended up working, it's a very easy story to sell to finance, this one. We're like, here's margin. Can I please? They're like, yes, please, you can. So, these are the kind of things where I'm trying to put, it's absolutely the one metric we're trying. We might say Glasses Direct is going to try to improve average order value during April and May. Maybe that was the plan, and we had a few test design, but you need to measure them, not just in isolation. You need to measure the overall response. So that brings us back to where we started. So as you can see, we've had then all these different metrics. We've tried to funnel it down to make sure that the different brands have tackled systematically what is my problem area, what am I trying to achieve, what is my success criteria, what are the levers, what can I test and do about it. so that the overall holy grail of this return on investment on email, you know, growing more revenue for email as a channel, our RPK as we call it, goes up. And this is what has happened year on year. So Glasses Direct has had a very nice uplift in RPK. Sunglasses Shop has had a very nice uplift in RPK. We're driving way more revenue per email this year than we did last year. And Eyewear Brands is quite new on Adestra, so I don't have year-on-year comparison, but it's a upward trend for Eyewear Brands as well. So we're very excited about where this is going. So that's it. So basically what we're doing now, next steps for us at MyOptique Group is we are building a single customer view database to try to have better customer level insights and basically do more omni-channel journeys down the road. It's very much email right now. We have signed with a company called Fresh Relevance that integrates the browsing data into message focus so that we can trigger not just abandoned cart and abandoned browse, but things like back in stock and things like that off the back of the browsing data. We are trying, well, I would like a slightly more medium to long-term project, but I would like to align the service emails, you know, the order confirmation and shipping confirmation, all those service emails. I would like to align them into one journey, into one platform. But then, which is a big one, we're not done yet. So we spent a year with the focus of optimizing BAU emails. That's not stopping just because we had a lift. That's actually something you continuously have to keep testing and trying, and then you find a winner and you roll it out and you rotate it and you rotate it too often and then it dies and you find a new one. Constantly keep kind of finding new ways to say things and finding new ways to design the email, the whole email experience. So you keep your RPK constantly going up, because then you're not so reliant on constantly feeding the base with new customer. You're actually getting more out of your existing ones, a higher ROI. And that was it. Yeah.